My name is Joel McLeod.
I'm Roland Tanner.
And welcome to the Thursday 905 Roundup. Today we're focusing, the only thing to talk about right now is elections. We're talking about, this time, municipal elections and municipal politics and affairs on this week's episode. Roland, what do you have in terms of municipal elections?
Yeah, well, yesterday was the day when candidates can formally start registering as candidates and register bank accounts and start hitting the doorsteps. Some candidates probably around the province have been hitting the doorsteps for a few months, but technically they're not allowed to take donations or allowed to do anything until yesterday. And Hamilton kicked off the municipal election season by also kicking a candidate off their property. The candidate in question was Kojo Damptey, I believe, who's running in Ward 14, and I'm just checking my facts there. And it's Joey Coleman of the Public Record tweeted a few things, and it certainly got some quite a bit of attention around the city. Well, certainly in the Twitterverse, anyway. Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing that makes cities look really stupid. And I know that anybody from the city listening to me speaking right now is jumping up and down going, yeah, but that's the rules. And they're kind of right and they're kind of wrong.
The rules are stupid.
Yeah, the rules are stupid. Bylaws in most cities, probably all cities in Ontario, are there to stop candidates misusing the city logo, city images, city property to suggest that they have official support in any way.
Right.
And that's right. You don't want that. The problem is that how it's implemented never looks like that. What it looks like is the city kicking challengers off the property. Meanwhile, the incumbents get to use city property every day of their life,
right,
until election day.
Well, that's it in a nutshell. I mean, you and I have both run for public office, and I remember going into the city clerk's office to drop off my papers, and they give you a big stern lecture. Like, it is like, if you walk away from anything of this meeting, it's to recognize you do not use city property, anything with the city's logo on it, or that could be associated to any passing glance with the city in any of your campaign material. And you say, okay, yes, of course, I understand. You sign your papers, you move on. In hindsight, I realized that's really stupid because, as you said, Roland, for 4 years, you've had every city councillor and the mayor, and it's not just in Hamilton. This is every municipality in the democratic free world has the right to, oh yeah, I want to make a public announcement. Oh, I'll go to my local community center. I'm going to go stand outside City Hall and look all, very mayor and very, very official. And I'm going to have the city logo and I have the city flag behind me and all this. And you do that for 4 years. And then you get, poor schlub Joe Blow, Jane Sixpack or whatever coming up and saying, I want to run. I want to cast my hat in the ring and make a difference, but I'm not allowed to have an equal footing. It's honestly a little shady and a little sketchy. The other thing is, I'm going to make the argument of why it should be. It's public property. Anybody can go there. You're going to have the elections there. Anybody can walk into a publicly owned library or hockey arena or swimming pool and use it. You can. I don't see why there's this fear of, we'll misconstrue the candidate might what the candidate's saying, that might be construed as official city policy. Because unless they actually say, oh, the city of Newmarket or city of Burlington or the city of town of Oakville or whomever has, they're going to do this and it's a lie, then that's when the city clerk's office or another candidate calls him or her on that lie. Because Lord knows, I was going to say, we've had lying politicians before in the past, and we've had people lying during campaigns at all levels of government. That's what happens, unfortunately. People lie. You get called out on it. But, I mean, let's give the public a little bit of credibility to understand that, hey, because Roland Tanner or Joel McLeod shows up with, the city of Burlington or the city of Hamilton property in their background, it's not a tacit endorsement of the city bureaucracy. Let's give people a little bit of credit and stop treating them like children on this.
Yeah, and actually, I will give some credit. We've been pretty tough on the current incumbent council in Burlington the last couple of weeks for various reasons, and I'll give them some credit that they have relaxed their rules somewhat this time around compared with what was in place in 2018, and good for them. I think that was the right thing. I think there was a complete ban on using city property, and I think you're now allowed to book city property for events as long as you're careful about it and you make sure everybody knows what's going on. Because the crazy thing is that the rest, like you say, the rest of the year, any party can book a city, and they do frequently. They book city venues for events, and you'll have a Liberal Party event at the Senior Centre or a Conservative Party event at blah, blah, blah. No one confuses that as the city endorsing the Liberal Party or the Conservative Party. No, they're just paying for the location, just like you do when you have a wedding at, so it's such a silly thing. And I say, certainly in 2018 in Burlington, it really rebounded to make the city look petty and to, rightly or wrongly, and to raise the spectre that people felt the city was against people who were challenging incumbents. When I say rightly or wrongly, I don't really care whether it was right or wrong. That was how it was perceived. I remember trying to, not me, I wasn't involved, but the Engaged Citizens of Burlington group trying to book city venues to hold debates where all candidates could come. They wouldn't let them book it because it's like, well, you might be biased. The fact that Burlington Green or an environmental group or the Federation of University Women are biased, if you want to say, because they're activist groups on behalf of a given cause. ECOB was an activist group on behalf of a given cause too, but they were the ones who were kind of picked on. I mean, I think it was such a stupid thing and so unnecessary. And
here's the
Hamilton's making the same mistake.
Well, not only is it stupid, Roland, I mean it sends the wrong message to public engagement. There are people. The thing that there's no the only barrier, I think, to getting involved in politics, to running for some kind of elected position is pretty much two things. You have to be a Canadian citizen, and you have to be over the age of 18. Really, that's it. Those are the only two bona fide criteria. I don't even think you have to be a resident of Burlington necessarily, or like the city that you're running in, necessarily to run there. It's just, it looks bad if you're not. I could be wrong on that. Just double check me out if I am. But the point is, like, there's all these barriers and these, you put rules around it. It's just really there's no rules against liability, libel or slander. That's the thing that people care about, is like people who blatantly lie. And I dare I say it, I look at what's happening south as we're recording this, and this is going to be a far stretch for our listeners, but bear with me. There's a connection here in my head. The south of the border, you look at what's happening with the potential of Roe v. Wade being overturned, and a lot of people are looking to the Supreme Court justices and remembering, and they're coming back to their hearings and saying, hey, they said that they wouldn't be this literal in their translation of precedent, constitution, and whatnot. They lied in their confirmation hearings. And I'm kind of like, yeah, like that's the thing. Like, we don't hold politicians to what they say, which kind of, we give them a blank slate to lie. We kind of say, oh yeah, that's what politicians do. But we have all these ridiculous other rules around, well, you can't do your event at these venues, and you can't book this venue or hold this because somebody might get the wrong idea. Yet there's nothing stopping somebody from blatantly lying and saying, oh yeah, I'm gonna give everybody a brand new Tesla Model S if you elect me. Like, there's nothing to hold people to account. We just trust everyone on our goodwill and our good nature. And it's a little insulting to the people's intelligence to just not give people that bit of credibility. Actually,
talking about insulting intelligence, I just want to raise another Hamilton issue, actually, that I think is worth mentioning. It's following up an episode we did a couple of weeks ago following the death of Boris Brott in a hit and run incident, and the recent horrendous spate of deaths on Hamilton's roads. Really sort of a staggering number of people being killed. Another person has been killed in Hamilton this week. And, council yesterday discussed it. The current incumbents discussed it. And the level of debate is so horrendously bad. Not all of them, but I mean, I'm going to pick out Sam Marula because he's always good for a quote. He suggested that the car manufacturers should be made to reduce the top speeds that cars will go at, which kind of somewhat ignores the fact that you can kill someone at 30 miles an hour quite easily. Other people talk about greater punitive outcomes for people who've hurt and killed people. Like, this is all so getting the cart before the horse, or taking the horse out and running it over with a tractor or something. I don't know. The reason people die on Hamilton streets is that Hamilton streets are designed for speed and death. You've got these massive 4-lane highways through the core of the city, which just are completely anathema to pedestrians, and as someone who's cycled across them, to cyclists as well. The whole Vision Zero thing, which Hamilton has signed up to, which they keep on talking about, is that you redesign your streets to prevent the deaths, and no one talked about that.
You know what? On that note, I've brought this up to anyone who listens, and if you're listening now, you're one of those people. Congratulations. I find that people who live in Hamilton don't quite get why Hamilton kind of has a bad rap outside of Hamilton. And it's one of those things, like it's the one thing you always hear is when you ask somebody from Hamilton, why is it so great to live there? I always hear, oh, it's so easy to get around in our city. It's so easy. Everything is just, you drive around, you catch the wave on the street light. It's so easy to get around. As somebody who doesn't live in Hamilton and who's gone into Hamilton many a times, I can say without a doubt that is malarkey. It is not easy to get around Hamilton. It is, in fact, painfully hard to drive around Hamilton if you don't know where you're going. If you know every back alley and every side street to turn down, yes, it probably takes 5 minutes to get around. But for the rest of us, driving into that downtown core, coming off the 403, getting onto Main Street, it is terrifying. I don't say this to you, Roland, but whenever I come to visit, it is terrifying because you're getting off a kind of a slow pace highway, and then all of a sudden you're stepping on the gas inside the city limits because it's in some cases 4 or 5 lane roadway. It's just crazy.
No, it's not. If you don't live in Hamilton, it's not a welcoming place to drive.
No, it's not. And
it's darn scary. And I'm only just getting my head around the system now.
But it's just it's one of those
having lived 5 miles away for the last 20 years.
But it's one of those things like city leaders need to understand this. Like, they need to start listening to those of us who are outside and say, this is what our impression. This is the first impression of your city, is that it's terrifying to visit. It's not the first impression is that it is not welcoming. It really is not. Like, as you're driving into Hamilton, it's not, you don't feel, I want to be here. I need to get off this road as quickly as possible. I need to find someplace safe to go to park my car and get to where I need to go. That's for a lot of people, that's their first impression of Hamilton. And what strikes me is how often city leaders just don't get that. They just, it's one of those things, I'm an outsider. I don't count. Yeah, you're right. I don't vote in Hamilton. But I will say this, if you're going to somebody who says, yeah, I want to set up shop, I want to set up a factory, I want to set up a headquarters, Hamilton is not, like, the first impression that you're making is not one that says, hey, we want you here.
Yeah, so, and certainly in the core, too much of the core. I mean, good things are happening, and we've talked about that a lot. But too much of the core is still, and yeah, certainly that first impression. It's ironic that too many councillors seem. I mean, I know in the days, I believe, after Boris Brott was killed, a councillor used a phrase, I can't quote word for word, but something very close to, there's too many people trying to wage war on cars or something like that. I'm not going to swear that those were the exact words that we used. And it's like, geez, it's not, the people in cars aren't the ones who are dying here. It's the pedestrians.
And who cares about a car? A car doesn't have feelings.
I'm just thinking of all the great cities of the world where we might go on our vacations, you might go to Edinburgh or Paris or Copenhagen.
Yeah.
Notoriously horrendous to drive around, which is pretty much why they're good for pedestrians.
But nobody sits there and says, "Oh my God, Copenhagen! Who would want to live there? Who would want to live in Paris? My God, who would And that's maybe it's time we start looking at back in the old school and take a note. And yeah, I mean, we like the car isn't going anywhere. It's staying put. But by God, like our cities can be designed better to be a little bit more safer and accommodating to those of us who want to live there.
But I think it'd be transformative. Yeah, it'd be transformative for Hamilton when that happens, and I hope the LRT will contribute to that as well. And good things are coming. And I know some of the candidates who just registered yesterday, Keenan Loomis, who's running for mayor, who's been talking about Vision Zero. I believe the candidate who was kicked off the forecourt was also talking about the traffic fatalities in Vision Zero. So it's on the agenda, which is good. It's definitely a case where the incumbents seem to be just not on the same radar as many other people. I'm saying not all the incumbents, but certainly some well-known faces who've been on council for a long time are just not on the same planet.
On that note, why don't we take a break for our sponsor, and we'll be back with the later half of the 905 Roundup. And we're back. You know what? We were just talking about Hamilton, and why don't we stay put and bring up another issue with Hamilton? Well, not an issue. I just think I have mixed feelings on this one. But CP24 was reporting last week that basically Hamilton City Council is voting to move ahead to basically fire approximately 500 unionized transit workers for being unvaccinated in Hamilton City Transit. I think this is going to be an interesting election issue because this is not going to go away. The basically right now, according to the rule, the non-compliant workers have basically until May 31st to get fully vaccinated, and then they can keep their jobs. If not, by May 31st, the city says that they will terminate their employment. On that note, the Amalgamated Transit Union Local 107 is basically saying we're going to go to bat for these workers, and we'll take them to court. Yeah, I mean, the ATU local points out that the decision could ultimately cost about $500,000 in unnecessary litigation. Well, that depends on your point of view, but $500,000 in litigation costs to the city of Hamilton, which this will be going on probably during the municipal election. This is...
Yeah, well, I mean, my thought, as I put my phone on silent, is that this, we've been pretty tough on people who've resisted getting vaccinations, and I will be particularly tough on people not wearing masks this week, but seeing as, well, it'll be interesting to see next week whether I've had COVID or not by then. I may have done. Anyway, I'll spare you the details of that. But yeah, we've been pretty tough on that. So it's like, well, yeah, fire these guys. Maybe that's what we're saying. But the thing is, the people who are saying you can't go to work without vaccination are also campaigning to have children go to school without vaccination and without masks. There's no consistency here. You're allowed to work in a restaurant and not wear a mask and not be vaccinated, but not on a bus. It makes that, from there has to be consistency, and that consistency had to come either from the province or from the federal government. But I believe the province had far more say in it, it's much more their role, and the province abrogated that responsibility. And so now the city's doing this, and it's like, yeah, I kind of see the point of the union and saying, well, hang on a minute, why do our members get treated this way when these people over here are, and if there was consistency and if there was unanimity by the province, would that be far more effective in getting people to be vaccinated?
Yeah.
The way it is here, it's. Yeah.
For the record, I'm of the mindset, I'm kind of siding with city council on this. As somebody who got COVID, I don't want to get it. And quite frankly, when you think about it, the public transit, like a bus literally just drives around the city. It's literally a COVID transportation vehicle if you want to think about it. There's a reason why the federal government has mandated that masks and vaccinations are still required to get on trains and planes to cross the country. I really don't see why you can't extend that to municipal bus services or transit services, I should say. It's very reasonable, but I agree with your point as well that I think the union's probably going to win this fight. I think that they'll win it because the provinces kind of Swiss cheese this thing and just kind of taken their eye off the ball and just said, I don't, figure it out. I don't know. And again, it's the staple of this.
For the sake of clarity, I don't want any bus driver on a bus that I'm on being unvaccinated. I don't want anybody on that bus being unvaccinated if I'm on it. I don't want anybody not wearing a mask if I'm on a bus.
Right.
However, yeah, exactly. This whole thing has been shot full of Swiss cheese is a good way of putting it. Because of the province's point of view. So I find it difficult to see how they're going to say, well, a bus driver is different from so many other roles where you're dealing with just as many people in just as also, enclosed environments.
It should point out, I don't think the city of Hamilton, the city council did themselves any favor. So the Hamilton City Council, according to CP24, has had a vaccination policy for its employees since August of 2021. So, having it had a mandatory vaccination policy in August, and it's not enforcing it, basically until May 31st. Now, it did amend the policy in January, to allow, I guess, presumably to say, okay, you have until May 31st. They have the option on May 31st to terminate non-vaccine compliant workers, which they are going to exercise. I just think, kind of dragging it out this point has kind of I think underscored their legal position, because it's kind of hard to say, well, yeah, you let us go this long. Why now? And why this arbitrary date of May 31st? Now, I presume the city's going to say, well, that we figured that would give you enough time to go get your shots as needed. And this is, to me, it's just a blatant example of how every level of government has kind of failed us at some point during this pandemic. It's been politics up the wazoo this entire pandemic at every level. Every level has just cocked this up to the nth degree. This is another example of it.
I remember,
that it's too late to kind of do the right thing. I'm worried at this point. I don't even know what the right thing is. It's so murky and gray and just unclear as to what goes forward. And it's exhausting because, as you said, I don't want to go on a bus with somebody who has COVID. I just don't. I got over it myself, and I've had my 3 shots. I'm boosted up the wazoo. It felt horrible. It was not a light cold. It was not a little case of sniffles. I was out for pretty much 2 weeks of just exhaustion and misery. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. God forbid if you got a full blown unvaccinated dose of it. But what's wrong with saying, these channels that we know are going to be major transmission factors, like public transit, and I would extend the same to schools. Lifting the mask mandates in schools was a bad idea. Evidence has shown that to be true. These mass transit transmission centers and factors. Yeah, why don't we just mitigate the circumstances? And I'm sorry, but the dangers of being vaccinated, no, it's all malarkey. How many billions of people have been vaccinated globally, worldwide? If there was going to be mass death, we would have heard it by now. I've had 3 shots of the damn things. I felt fine until I got COVID, and I was thankful I got those 3 shots, because my God, if I got the full version of COVID, I would just be, I would not be the pleasant, chipper self that I am now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's legitimate to say, no, you cannot be an employee and put other people at risk. Mm-hmm. I think that's legitimate. I just think it's just been, the whole thing has just been wrecked by the provincial government of Ontario and the provincial governments across Canada, and their basically making life easy for the minority of people who just refuse to play by the rules by throwing those of us who are trying to do the right thing. Remember back in early 2020 when we're all in this together. No, we're not. We haven't been in. I don't know if we were ever in it together. Maybe for a few weeks. Since then, we've just been on our own, getting screwed over left and right, and it's. I've never seen the political classes be so abjectly, pathetically useless in my lifetime.
I've never seen I've never seen a case where every political class, every level of government in this country is so out of touch with what's going on the ground. Like, I just really haven't. I am floored that, I've never lived at a time where I felt so utterly on my own in this country. Like, I really get the sense that the current political parties, they say that, they got my back. I don't feel it. I don't feel that they have my support. I feel like my family is on my own. We have to look after ourselves. And that's not a place I want to be in right now. I don't want to have that mentality. It's exhausting. I'm exhausted having to worry about if my neighbors is vaccinated, or if I wear a mask out in public, if I'm going to be given the. I've gotten weird looks wearing my mask in public. That's I'm the weird one, and it's like, no, why?
No, I mean that's now the state of affairs in many parts of this province. Yeah, and again, I speak from recent experience that you feel like the odd person out if you're still wearing a mask. Yeah, and yet the numbers are going crazy, and I don't know.
We can do better.
It seems like left and right, the idiots are winning. There was a tweet by Hugh Laurie today that just touched a nerve with me, and it was like, the future's looking bright. Unfortunately, that's not where we're going. We're ships against the current, ceaselessly taken back into the past, or whatever the famous phrase is. We're getting dragged backwards at every opportunity.
I will say this: if you're listening to this podcast and you're I'm hoping that you're nodding yes, that you're feeling the same way that Roland and myself are. I guess take comfort in the fact that you're not alone. You are not the minority, because it's all of us. The vast majority of us are feeling abandoned by our political leaders just from stupid ideas. We deserve better. We are not. It doesn't look right now like we're going to get better. Unfortunately, we're going to get moderately competent, I think, is the best we can settle for at this point. But you know what? Remember the anger. Remember being this pissed off and this alone and this frustrated, because I think that I believe everything has a reckoning at some point, and we'll have to remember this feeling at some point, or whether it's at the ballot box in a month's time, or maybe in 4 years' time. We'll have to remember it, but remember it, because I don't think this is going away anytime soon. And on that cheery note, I think let's bring this episode to a close, because I'm going to go. I'm going to get a scotch. But thanks very much everyone for listening. This has been the 905 Roundup. Please like, share, spread the misery, spread the wealth, and throw a few bucks at us if you get a chance. It helps keep
cheer us up.
It will cheer us up. Yes. Thanks very much, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's it for this episode of the 905er. Thank you for listening. As always, you can send us your feedback, thoughts, and concerns, or ideas for future episodes to our email, info@905er.ca. We'd love to hear from you. You can help us keep the 905er going by financially supporting us through Patreon as well as PayPal. Visit us at 905er.ca and click on the support tab. As well, links are in the show notes for your convenience. Lastly, you can find us on social media. Search for _905er on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So long for now. See you next time.
You looking to make the most out of this life and optimize your personal wellness? Then check out the Natural Man Podcast. Join me, host Mike C., as we explore all areas of human wellness, physical, mental, and emotional. Learn strategies to optimize your own well-being and be in the driver's seat of your own health. Remember, your doctor works for you. Learn biohacks, neurohacks, ways to improve sleep, and ways to optimize your body and your mind. Check us out on Apple, Spotify, the Fountain app, and at naturalmanpodcast.com.